Good morning to one and all. My name is Sheikh Mohammed Iqbal. Today I am going to give you a seminar in OS operating system and I am from 2CSCD and my registration number is 21BQ1805L0. My topic is operating system services. First let us discuss what is operating system. Operating system provides an interface between user and computer system. It provides an easy communication between user and computer system. It maintains all hardware and software components of the software system or it manages operates all services resources of the system. The following block diagram shows the interaction of the user with the hardware of computer through the operating system. Here we can see the block diagram of the operating system. In the first block we have user. Next we have system and application software. Next we have operating system which interacts with the user and send the commands to the hardware. The operating system contains three components as shown in the following diagram. First we have users, next system and application software, next OS. In OS there are three interfaces. First one user interface, next one is non-kernel program, third one is kernel. So let us discuss what is user interface. User interface provides some mechanism by which the user interacts with the computer. For example, Windows operating system provides graphical user interfaces, Linux operating system provides command-based interfaces. Next, non-kernel program receives the commands or requests from the user and passes them to the kernel of operating system. Kernel executes the commands or requests of the user using the hardware and sends the result back to the user. Here, kernel is the important in the operating system. Next, we move to the goals of the operating system. The main goal of the operating system is the major goals of any operating systems are user convenient and to provide the convenience to the user. Second, efficient of the use of resources, ability to evolve. User convenience. As operating system should provide convenience to the user using the computer system. For user convenience, the operating system should perform the following activities. Provide graphical and graphical user easily interact with the computer system through graphical user interface. To provide convenience to the user, provides graphical user interface GUI. The user can easily interact with the computer system through graphical user interface. For example, to easily interact the computer system using Windows operating system as Windows operating system provides GUI, whereas interaction with computer system using Unix operating system, it is not easy to operate or interact with the Unix. It is based on the command prompt. Next, efficient use of resources. The operating system should efficiently use the resources of computer system. For example, if there are three individual systems each running a program, if the three programs require printing, the three printers are required. If three computers are connected through a network and if a printer is connected to the network, then the three systems can share the printer and eliminates the need of manipulating three printers. And another example, by loading number of programs into RAM, the CPU can keep busy all times. While executing any program, if any input or output operation is required, then the CPU becomes the, instead of keeping the CPU idle, it is assigned to another program if the RAM is loaded with the number of programs. Ability to evolve. The operating system should in such a way that it can be easily modified to support new requirements of users. Windows operating system does not allow modifications, whereas Linux operating system allows modification as it is a open source. So now let us move to the main topic. The services or the functions are responsible, both are same, activities of an operating system. The following are the major functions of the operating system. Process management, memory management, file management, IO management, protection, networking and providing security. So let us discuss every individual. So let us discuss the every services individually. First, process management. A program is a set of instruction. First, we discuss what is a program. Program is a set of instruction. A program is a passive element and it resides in hard disk. A process is a program in execution. A process is a program in execution and it resides in RAM. To run any process, some resources are required and the file resources are allocated by the operating system. To manage process, the OS operating system performs the following activities: creating, deleting process, suspending and resuming the process. 3. Providing synchronization, providing communication, handling deadlocks. Creating and deleting process. To create a new process, the operating system has to do the following activities: Move the program from the disk to RAM. Allocate the CPU or processor to the program. To delete a process, the OS has to move the program from RAM to disk. Suspending and resuming the process. Suspending a process is temporarily stopping the execution of the process due to some IO operation request. Because suspending the process, the OS has to save the status of the execution of the process. Restarting the execution of a suspended process is called resuming the process. Before running the process, the OS has to restore the status of the saved process. Next, providing synchronization. A shareable resources can be used by number of processes by a time. Example RAM, CPU, etc. A non-shareable resources has to be used by only one process at a time. Example printer. If number of processes request a non-shareable resources at a time, then the OS has to provide synchronization access of the resources by allocating the resources to only one process at a time. Providing communication. If there are number of programs belonging to the same application, then there should be some communication between the program for sharing or accessing the data. The OS has to provide this communication between the programs. Handling deadlocks. OS has to allocate the resources to the process such that the system should not go into deadlock state. A set of processes is said to be in deadlock state if each processes the set is waiting for another process. For example, if there are two processes P1 and P2 and two resources R1 and R2, and P1 is using R1 and requesting for R2, P2 is using R2 and requesting for R1, then the two processes are in deadlock. So let us move to the next one, memory management. When a program is saved, if it will be stored in hard disk. To execute a program, the program has to move to RAM. Operating system has to manage both primary and secondary memory for the execution of the process. For managing primary memory, the OS is responsible for knowing which part of the RAM are in use and by whom. The RAM contains number of processes at any time. The OS must know which parts of the RAM are stored in which processes. Deciding which process needs to be moved between RAM and hard disk. While executing any process, if the process requests any IO operations, then the execution of the process will be stopped. If the RAM is full and if a new program has to be loaded into RAM, then OS will move one or the waiting processes from RAM to hard disk in order to create a space in RAM for loading the new program. Allocating and deallocating space required to execute a program. OS allocates space in RAM and move the program from hard disk to RAM. When the execution of the program is completed, then the OS deallocates the space occupied by the program and moves the program from RAM to hard disk. The hard disk contains the number of storage blocks at any time. Some of the blocks contains program and remaining blocks are free. For managing the secondary memory, the OS is responsible for free space management, storage allocation, etc. And also disk scheduling. First, we have discussed free space management. The OS maintains a list called free space management, free book list, which contains the number of blocks in the hard disk. Storage allocation. When any data has to be stored in hard disk, the OS identifies the free blocks from the free block list and then allocates the free blocks for the data. Disk scheduling. If there are number of read and write requests for a hard disk, then the OS has to schedule the requests. So OS has to decide the order of in which these requests are performed. So let us move to the file management. Now we are going to discuss file management. File management. Computer use different types of storage devices like magnetic disk, optical disk, magnetic tape, and so on. These storage devices have different physical properties and physical organization. To make the computer system convenience to the user, the operating system hides the physical properties of storage devices from the user by defining a logical storage unit called file. The OS maps files onto storage devices. Files are organized into directories to make them easier to use. The OS is responsible for following activities for managing files: creating and deleting files, creating and deleting directories, supporting primitives on manipulating the files and directories, mapping files onto the secondary storage, backupping the files into stable storage. Next, IO device management. A computer system contains number of input and output devices. The keyboard, mouse, monitor, printer, and so on. Each device is controlled by device driver. The OS has to manage all the device drivers. Networking. A network is a collection of systems connected to each other. The OS used in this computer connected to a network must be provide support for sharing the resource available in the network, dividing the program into parts and distributing parts to different systems in the network. Provide transparency to users. Next, protection and security. Protection means restricting the access to the resources of the system from the processes that are running in the system. For example, if two or more processors request the CPU at the same time, then the OS has to restrict the CPU allocating from the CPU and one process at a time. Security, restricting the access to the system by the username and password are used to provide security. Thanking you for giving me this opportunity. So we have discussed all the services that are provided by the OS. Thanking you for giving me this opportunity.